and welcome to our Real World Conversation with Elizabeth Harrin. She is an experienced project manager, author, mentor. I feel like I have just been taught by her in a couple of conversations. And we're here to talk about her career and her career growth and career development. I am very intrigued. You've been in this field for a long time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your current position and what you do day to day today, and then we'll take a time machine trip.
Okay. I work in the UK for a healthcare charity. So we run hospitals and fitness centres. And as a senior project manager, my job is supporting programs, leading projects, and through nature of just the projects I've been working on, it's in the field of digital transformation, partnerships with third parties, improving the experience for our customers. So it's been quite, what I love about my job, in fact, what I've loved about all my jobs as a project manager, but this one especially, is being able to work with different parts of the organization. So every project is with a new team of people, and I'm learning more about how the business functions through talking to the different stakeholders and delivering change in different areas of the business.
I love that. Yes, it's always nice to work on things where you get to learn something different or engage with different people. I think that is one of the beautiful parts of being a project manager. So let's press the rewind button. We can even pretend we're using VHS or beta. We'll go way back to the beginning. What was your first job? Tell us about your first job. Maybe post if you did babysitting or worked at a coffee shop. You can include that or not, depending on how you feel.
I wonder who didn't do babysitting. I did do that. I worked for WH Smith's in a shop, basically, as my first job, and that carried me through university. As I went away to university, came back in the holidays, did that, earned some more money, and so that was a great experience of a workplace and work ethic. But my first sort of proper job when I left university was working for American Express. And I joined there mainly because I didn't know what I wanted to do. My degree was English literature and linguistics, which doesn't naturally lead into any particular job.
Yes.
So in the UK, we have something called the Milk Round, or we did back in the day. I don't know if it's still called that, where large organisations would come to the university and kind of pitch their graduate training schemes, and there'd be an opportunity to quiz them or to be interviewed, and there was quite sort of an application process to go through. So I really just applied to people who came to campus, the people whose job adverts I'd saw through the career service, and large companies that had graduate training schemes, because that gave me the exposure. I thought it would give me the exposure to different areas of an organization, because when you grow up, you think, oh, I'll be a firefighter or an ambulance driver or a ballerina or a vet or something like that, but nobody says you could be a project manager or a customer experience manager or an AI prompt engineer. Those jobs either didn't exist or just were not the job titles that people talked about. So it was a great choice. I think I went to American Express, got to see lots of different areas of the organization and went through their training scheme. And one of the departments that I was placed in, doing like the, I suppose, intern type junior roles, was called business re-engineering or business engineering. And it was all about project management and delivering change. And suddenly I just thought, wow, this is where I belong, because it's all checklists and to-do lists and planning. And I think I was doing a lot of like travel booking and support. So I wasn't leading anything. It's 22, straight out of university, and 3 months in this department. But I saw other people were doing, and I thought, okay, if I've got to choose a job of the things that I've been exposed to, this is the one that speaks to me the most. And so I found project management quite early on in my career.
Oh, that is fantastic. So was part of this sort of program where you got to have exposure to the different parts of the business, were you then able to sort of pick and tell them, I want to work in this area, or what happened next?
I hoped that it would work like that, but the way that we were recruited, we were all on 1-year contracts. So I mean, it gave them the opportunity to get rid of people that they didn't like after a year, who perhaps through a hiring mistake. But we had to apply for jobs inside the organisation, and I didn't get a project management job. I got a job in a different team, which was fine, but it showed me a different part of the organization, and it was kind of continuation from what I had been doing in my last placement, I think. But it did make me think, no, project management is where I want to be. I've got a job, I'm grateful for that. But if I can't find a project management job here, then I need to look for one elsewhere. So I did, and I ended up working for a company in Tunbridge Wells, which is a town about an hour away from where I live now. And I got a sort of an entry-level business change analyst job, working for an insurance, working for a company that did insurance, but healthcare insurance.
Ah, okay.
And that was quite interesting, sort of, lots of exposure to the IT department, working on projects. And it also meant that once I'd been there a number of years, we were taken over by a French company. We became part of AXA, and one thing led to another, and I was offered a job in Paris to work at AXA's headquarters for a couple of years.
Who says no to a job in Paris?
I know, right?
Take me to Paris. So what were you doing in Paris? Were you doing the same thing you were doing previously, just as part of a larger scope, or was it a little different?
It was a little different. The way it was set up was like I worked for sort of the AXA internal consultancy, and I had been seconded to a team that ran the international, basically the intranet sites. So anything that was sort of a global, the global telephone directory, the global intranet homepage, those fell into our remit. And all of us in the office had particular countries that we looked after and managed the relationship. So they might give us feedback about what they needed to see in the portal, or if we had any new services that we were adding widgets on, we would train them. And so it made sense that I looked after the English speaking countries.
Yes.
And so it was quite different, but it was also still project management, really, in that we were sort of maybe this day and age we perhaps would have called it a product role.
Okay.
Because we were looking after the projects related to a particular product. But yeah, that was completely eye-opening and very interesting, because the team at AXA's head office was multinational as well, and we were managing all kinds of different things around the world. So it was lovely to have the opportunity to go and work abroad, just to see different work cultures, and to be in my 20s and having that experience. Yes. Was great.
Still at that able to travel, slightly less encumbered phase of life. So what came after Paris, and was it a letdown? Because I mean, Paris, right?
I think there'll always be part of me that feels like Paris is home. Although we went back in the Easter holidays this year. We went back earlier this year, and it's changed a lot, clearly, since I was there. But it's always, it always is going to feel special, I think. But I had got to the point where I didn't think I was going to progress career-wise any longer, because I spoke French, but I was never going to be as good as a native speaker. I didn't have the French education. I hadn't gone to a French business school. So, there were a few boxes that I didn't tick for career progression. And I'd been away 2.5 years. So I thought maybe this is the right move. If I've done this for a while, if I want a promotion, if I want a pay rise, maybe I do need to go back to the UK. So I started looking for jobs kind of casually on the basis that something would come up. And so when the right job came up, that offered me the opportunity to relocate back to the UK, I did, and we moved to London so that I could join a new company. So I joined Bupa Hospitals, which was quite quickly rebranded into another name, which is Spire Hospitals, because of a corporate transaction. So I think I accepted the job when it was one company name, and then by the time I joined, they'd rebranded. So I kind of missed that piece. Well, by the time I'd done my notice and relocated and all the rest of it. But it was quite interesting to sort of see how that transitioned and how we separated away from that other company as they sold off that division. And that was a project management role. So get involved quite quickly, you know, when you're thrown into something and you just have to sink or swim to dive into the projects that they wanted me to work on and just do my best to plow through them.
Right. And that sounds like it was really a time of change as well. I mean, I've been through two mergers and acquisitions myself, and there is always a lot to do when you're in an environment that either has gone through that or is going through that. So that's always an interesting learning experience. How long were you there in that position?
I was at Spire for 12 years, which I think brings us to the just before the pandemic, because by the time 2020 came around and we were all working from home, I had actually left. So I think I left in the September before the pandemic and to freelance for a couple of years. And actually that, in hindsight, worked out quite well because, you know, let's say I left in September time. By February, we were in lockdown. So with two small children at home, we were homeschooling primary kids, trying to, you know, manage elderly relatives. Just I can't imagine people who didn't have as much flexibility as I did during that time. So being self-employed for those 2 years was actually quite beneficial.
Yes, I can completely relate. I also had two young children who were needing to suddenly be in virtual school in a very unprepared way when the pandemic came. I'm laughing now, but it was actually quite stressful.
I know. I look back and I think, how did we do that?
How did we do it? Yes.
What was that like?
But we did, right? We made it through.
And we came out the other side of it with a lot more tools for virtual working, which has meant that when an old colleague rang me and said, I've got this 6-month piece of work. Do you fancy it? And I was like, well, I really could do with a new conservatory because ours is leaking. So, all right, I'll go back to corporate life for 6 months. And that was 3.5 years ago.
Fantastic. Yes, it's amazing how motivational a leak in something like a conservatory can be. You can just try something else.
It's built now. That's great.
Fantastic. When did you really start thinking about the book?
Well, I wanted to write a book before I was 30. So the first one I wrote was this one. And that was just because must have been published while I was in France. And I wanted to write a book because I just love writing. I've always written things since I was small, and I've kept a journal. And
me too. Yeah.
And so it was more of a selfish, I want to be an author kind of thing. And then you think, well, what can I write about? I don't know anything. So write about what you know. So I interviewed some project managers and put that first book together. And then I started to, and I think once you're into this cycle of writing and publishing, unfortunately, the world moves on quite quickly. And every couple of years, you sort of have to update your ideas or publish something new. So the first edition of Managing Multiple Projects came out probably 2 or 3 years ago now. And I must have been doing the writing for that during the lockdown because I wasn't employed at that point. I was self-employed, but not employed as a full-time employee at a company. And so, that came about because of having taught a course on managing multiple projects and realizing there wasn't much material out there. And then they reached out to me probably last year, the publishers, and said, the world's moved on a bit. We've got much more virtual working, AI, multi-generational teams. Yes. Would you like to do a second edition? So I said yes.
Yes. That's actually a common theme in career development is I said yes. Someone said, someone made an offer and I went ahead and accepted the challenge. And you are fantastic and accepted the challenge of coming here to talk to us about your career. Can you leave our viewers with one piece of advice on career advancement? So if you're talking to someone and they're looking to advance their career in project management, what is one thing you would tell them?
If you're looking to advance a career in project management, then my absolute advice would be to make sure that you are leading your own career development and don't be put off by what other people are doing. But equally, you need to take ownership for that. Nobody is going to give you a promotion unless you ask for it. Nobody is going to give you the great projects unless you prove that you're worthy and you ask for it. But equally, no one is going to say, oh, have you taken a lunch break today? Why are you working at 7 o'clock on a Friday night? You absolutely have to set boundaries around what you are prepared to do. So there's a trade-off there, a well-being trade-off between being the best project manager you can be and being completely invested. And when project managers are the people who like to go through the to-do list and tick everything off, get everything done, own everything, which is a great trait, but we have to be able to switch off, because the minute there is redundancies, the minute there is some kind of restructure, or another opportunity comes up, companies make the best choice for them, and that might not be the best career move or the best career choice for you. So we have to look out for ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's really depressing, isn't it?
No, I could not agree more, because the world is different, and you have to always be sharpening your tools and increasing your tool set and knowing what's important for you. You can't wait until a company, comes down with layoffs to know what you want to do next or have the skills for the next thing. And also the network, right? People need to know their peers in the space, just like you got the 6-month/3.5-year gig, someone reached out. So network's important too. So thank you so much again for your time. We have expert, author, mentor, all things, Elizabeth Harrin with us today. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me on the show.